Really good question up next. It says, how do you know when to substitute out an exercise because it just doesn't work for your body versus not good enough technique? For example, I have front squats in my program and I think I have pretty solid form, but whenever I incorporate any sort of substantial volume of front squats, I start to develop tendonitis in my knee. I prefer to blacklist the exercise, but when do you believe is a good time to call it quits? I get great bang for your buck when I do low pin squats, which I think works the same sticking point, but without the knee issues. Well, they do work this same sticking point. They're just different classes of movement. So a pin squat's going to be an assistance exercise, which is typically trained heavier. Front squats are typically going to be supplemental exercises, at least until you get quite a bit of proficiency with them. But in your specific case, I think it's probably time to call it quits with front squats. If you do the exercise and you know that, hey, this causes knee issues for you, and you've tried fixing the technique and stuff like that, and it just doesn't seem to be working, then I think it's time. The only exercise that's essential for you to do is the competition lift, and even to that, we can work around that for substantial periods of time, but sooner or later you'll have to do that if you intend to step on the platform. If you've tried it and it's causing pain, it's causing injuries or anything like that, then it's time to call it quits with that exercise. If it's more of a question of, does this exercise work for me? Well, that's much more difficult to know, and it's much more difficult to pin that down. So what I would suggest is that, for now, let's table that half of the conversation. And let's say that we're talking about exercises that are causing pain. If you've done it, you've tried to correct it, doesn't seem to be helping, then yeah, blacklist it and move on to something else. I can tell you that with front squats, it will cause me knee pain as well if I'm fast on the descent. I have to be controlled on the descent, and I don't bounce my front squats. Maybe that's because I'm heavy, a heavy lifter. I've been doing this for a long time now, so maybe it's the age and training age thing. I don't know, but for me, I know that that's something that I can't tolerate. So I can either not do front squats or I can do them controlled. So I choose to do them controlled. That may not work for you. It may just not work out that way. So front squats are by definition going to put more stress on your knee and all those knee structures. So you may need to swap that movement out for something else. And that's not a problem. That's not a failing on your end. There are plenty of movements that we can sub in there and get similar training effects.